FlossTube Stitchers. I'm back with FlossTube number 222, which I jokingly refer to as my husband's favorite number. And it relates to his microwave habits. So we are just a family of two, so obviously we have leftovers a few times a week. And he is most likely to make himself a plate, put it on the turntable in the microwave, and set it for 2 minutes and 22 seconds on high, which is totally against everything I believe about reheating something or even using the microwave as an instrument. I think my dad or my brother, somebody in the family, asked one time, oh, how long did it take him to figure out that that was, the right amount of time? No, he said he just hits 222 because it's quick. And it probably worked the first time. He was satisfied with it, so he kept doing it. I usually reheat my plate at 2 minutes and 30 seconds on half power, and maybe I'll stir it once in between. But he's got hot spots and cold spots, and I don't even know how that's enjoyable. But that's what he does. So when my dad moved into his senior complex, his apartment number ended up being 222, and we said, oh, we'll never forget that. So because I joke so often about that being George's favorite. My vintage stitch today is brought to you in memory of my grandmother, Dorothy Manning, who went by the nickname Dot. We actually called her Mom because she was 42 when I was born, and she said she was too young to be called grandmother. And we already called our mother Mommy. So even by the time the third child came around, we all just called her Mom. And then for our mother, we went from Mommy to Mother when we got to be a certain age. So my grandmother was always Mom to us. And her birthday would have been the 4th, which is Tuesday. She was born in 1915 and she lived until June of 2011. So she was just a little more than 96 years old when she passed. And this pillow is something I made for her a long, long time ago. I believe it might have been even before I had the shop. Although when I look at the fabric, I don't know where I would have bought this. It looks like 18 count Davos in antique white. And I don't know that the chain stores carry that. The only thing we had back in those days was Lee Ward's, and they're not around, so I have no knowledge of what they would have carried back in the day. So it might have been in the early days of the shop, but this was her favorite little prayer or poem, the Serenity Prayer. And this was on the bed in her master bedroom suite. I'll call it a suite. It was the biggest bedroom in her house, and it had a little half bath attached. And I think she slept there during part of the year, but when the house got too hot, she slept in another room. And this had a queen bed in it. And so when we went to visit, my mom and I would sleep there. If my dad went with us, then I slept in the other guest room or the den. I vaguely remember doing that. I mean, I remember stitching it. I vaguely remember finishing it. We didn't have a finisher that did things like this in the beginning. And my mom and I both sewed, although I don't believe my mom made this. We were mostly clothing seamstresses. I didn't really make curtains or too many. I probably made a few pillows, but it wasn't really my thing. And I think if I did it now, I would do a better job. I knew enough to know that you're not supposed to try to make a point. So these are kind of chopped at the point. But I didn't fill in the corner with batting or anything. I believe this just has a pillow form in it. And then the back is completely finished. There's like a seam along one side of ruffle. And I think if I did it now, I would do the overlap or something with Velcro, or I would do it so that you could get into it and take the pillow form out if it needed to be washed. For being this old, it's in really good shape. I mean, my grandmother was a good housekeeper, and it's actually been in, it wasn't vacuum sealed, but it was in a zipped heavy duty plastic bag that I think a comforter came in or something. So it's been, you know, it's been kept nice since I received it after she passed. There's a little bit of, it looks like a little bit of staining, maybe from touching it at the top corners, probably when you would like take it off to make the bed or something, you know how you would pick up a pillow. But other than that, it's in really good shape. I'm not interested in taking it apart and redoing it, but I probably will use this on one of my sofas because I have a lot of blue in my house. The other thing I wanted to say is I did figure out that it was a Linda Myers pattern. She had a company called The Art of Cross Stitch back in the day. I didn't find my chart, but I found a really blurry picture of it online. And I changed several of the flowers and one of the butterflies to blue and red instead of like yellow and brown. I know she had blue in that room. She must have had some red because I don't know why else I would have changed it. I wasn't stitching it for myself. So anyway, that's really vintage. I kind of wish I was keeping track of things back then, or that I put my initials on this, but not the year. It'd be nice to know that. It doesn't really matter to anybody else, but just for memories, I guess. So that was my vintage. Then I have several spring models that were loaned to us by a really dear customer, Phyllis W. And she's a very good framing customer. So all of these, of course, were framed by Bonnie. And she gave them to me at 2 different times, but I decided to save them for spring. And I'm thinking about spring in March. So the first one is JBW Rabbits in the Round. And she did hers in blue. She mostly stitches on 36 count linen, although we're talking her into 32 Lugana, so we may see some new pieces on that fabric, but she really does enjoy, like us, stitching with just one strand of thread. So I think that's really pretty. I'm thinking of copying her with the blue, although I may do it in a color that goes with the rest of my spring things. Maybe I'll pick a lavender or something. I'm not sure. I've always wanted to stitch it, but never quite got there. And I actually forgot now, I didn't bring the chart over with me. I forgot what Judy did her original in, and maybe she shows it in several colors like she does a lot with her charts. The next one is a Jeanette Douglas Designs, and it's called Jump into Spring. And I'm gonna try to move this a little closer so you can see the specialty stitches. It is just the sweetest little fun, bright, cheerful spring piece. And there are some really pretty specialty stitches in there. And I like the little delicate frame too. I don't know the names of all the stitches. I don't have the chart right now. It's on my next distributor order, or maybe she'll have them at market. It's not that new, but sometimes designers bring older things to market if it fits the season. So we'll see, but anyway, it's really sweet. So I'll have it soon in the shop. And then the last one she just brought me yesterday or Friday, and this is a With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais, called Tis Spring. And it's done on a little bit different color. I think it was just done on like a neutral, the original model. But Phyllis said when she saw this shade, she immediately thought of this chart and that it would be perfect for spring. This has some specialty little touches to it. The bees' wings and the little extra detail on the nest. So I love that when there's a little extra texture to it. So I'm really happy to have all 3 of these pieces. 2 of them were already on display. I just have to find a place for the last one. Then this is the end of the Freebie February. So there's only, 5? There's only 5 today because of course it ended on the 28th. So on Monday, I started Sweet Strawberry by Cosmic Handmade. The designer's name is Carolyn, and she had a blog for just a little bit, and I think, I don't remember now the year, but it says in the Facebook and Instagram post, I think maybe it was 2014 that it ended, just it abruptly dropped off. And I looked for her name and I didn't really find anything. I don't think she became a full-fledged cross-stitch designer. She might have been fooling around with it, but maybe ended up doing something else instead. And I forgot to set it to print in color, so it printed in black and white, but you can kind of see the colors are pretty much represented there. And I think there's, no, I think I probably did use all the colors, at least a little bit in there. And this is 16 count fabric flare in historic beige, which has a little bit of a pink cast to it. I don't know if you can tell. And it's very softly over dyed. So I had a couple pieces of this left over and it was the perfect size for this. So that was an easy choice. I don't always know what I'm going to stitch something on. I do try to use stash or remnants from the shop rather than cutting a brand new piece. And I'm modeling that for you to do the same. And sometimes I put aside a piece and say, oh, this will be perfect for patriotic. But then when I look at the patriotic ones that I'm interested in stitching, maybe the piece is too big. And then I put it aside again and say, well, I want to save it for a bigger piece so I don't, waste this nice size piece. So I already have a stash going for next year, and geez Louise, I could probably start a new free chart every day, for the rest of the year and be fine with it. There are so many beautiful ones out there. They do tend to be smaller. There are some that are, maybe a little bit bigger, sampler style or something. So they do tend to be smaller, but that appeals to me as well. So I probably would be very happy if I had to, just stitching free charts. The next one is, let's see, maybe I think I'll use, well, it's white. I'll use this backdrop anyway, just so you don't see it against my purple fleece here. So this is a Lizzie Kate, and it's on her website, Peace, Joy, Love, and it was stitched on, now I forgot if it was 28 or 32, whatever it was, I probably put it in the post, opalescent Lugana. I have a feeling, I don't know, it looks like 32 to me, but I can't tell. And it was professionally finished with twisted cording. We used the Lizzie Kate sterling silver heart charm, which it would be probably hard to find now, but you could, put any kind of a charm or button there. And it had a little bit of a border at the top and bottom, and we left that off and added 2 of the Holly Jabco buttons. And we did kit this, so I think I probably put the buttons on just to be able to kit it with something fun along with the charm. So that, I showed that on the 25th. I figured I'd show a Christmas piece that day. Then the next day, I started Doreen Jones' Woodland Deer. And that's the whole picture of it. I've had that saved for quite a while. I knew I wanted to do that. And believe it or not, I don't think I had any of the colors except the white and black, because I don't normally stitch with that color palette. But I know I've mentioned before that I have added some teal, aqua, turquoise, whatever you want to call it. I've added that to Halloween, fall, Thanksgiving, and Snowman pieces, just because that's been the trend. It's kind of a retro color. But anyway, I didn't have most of the colors, so that was kind of fun. I'm stitching on 30 count sunflower seed from Legacy Linens with 2 strands. And I like the way it's nice and full, but when you go from one strand one night to two strands the next night and change count, sometimes it's jarring. And I did have like one moment of self-doubt when I started putting the two greens together, thinking, wow, you know, if you think about it, you're putting a lot of thread in the same hole when you're using two strands. But my tension's pretty good, and I think it's going to be really cute when it's done. So that was Doreen Jones, and I'm trying to let you know where I found things because not everybody is on Facebook or Instagram. So I will also have a complete list of all 28 of this year's freebies in the show notes for this video. Instead of just putting the 5 from this week, I'm going to put all of them. But you do have to at least look at Facebook to see this. So you have to go to Doreen Jones, her designer page, and it's not in an album. I think she started doing albums later than that. So this is, did I put it here? No, I think I'll have to wait. Oh no, November 1st, 2019. So I think in 2020 or 2021, she started putting her free charts into photo albums. So it makes it a little bit easier to find. But I'm sorry, people have asked me how to find it. And I'm like, you just have to scroll. You seriously just have to go to Doreen Jones' Facebook page and then go to photos. But instead of looking at the albums, you just have to scroll until you get there. And it may take a while, but then, save it or take a screenshot or something so that you can work from it. I don't know how else to explain it. It's a little time consuming. Okay, then I was looking at my stats and I thought, oh, I haven't stitched anything that's just for fall that's not considered Halloween or Thanksgiving. So I'm doing October House Fiber Arts Hello Fall, and that's the original color palette. But I learned as I started stitching it that the computer generated color palette does not adequately represent the colors in real life. So I'm going to have to take out the squirrel body. So I started with the word hello, and I'm actually using a different color than what they called for. She called for Tiger's Eye from Weeks Dye Works, and it's actually a color I didn't have, and I don't think I've ever used it. But I had bramble bush, and it looked kind of close, and I liked it. So I did the word hello, and then I did the suggested DMC color for the squirrel, the body, and then I started doing the tail, and I kind of feel like the face and the ears get lost. So I think I need to lighten up the squirrel body just a little bit. The fur that's left unstitched right now is going to be an off-white, but it doesn't look as bad as I thought it was going to look when I was stitching it, but you can't really see his ears. So I think I'm going to take that out. And then let's see, there's a gold color that I think can stay the same. I think everything else can stay the same. And this is being stitched on 14 count toasted coconut from Forbidden Fiber Company. And this is one of those things where I had the piece and I saved it after I cut a bunch of pieces for customers, and I thought, ooh, I like the way this is modeled, and this is really cool. And I could not find a bigger fall piece, and I didn't want to do another Thanksgiving, and so I'm kind of wasting it a little bit, but I might do like a little row of fall related buttons or something across the bottom to use part of it. But anyway, I thought the color of the fabric looked really good with the thread, so I kept it that way. Okay, then I had to do a Sweet Wing Studio because I love her charts. And so I'm doing this Do Small Things. I'm doing it in my own color palette. There's nothing wrong with that. I even had the same color that she recommended, but I had it in Lugana, and so it looked a little different. This looks kind of like a prim green, and mine looks brighter. And I could have done it on that, but I decided if I were going to let this sit out all year, that I could do it in blue and it would go just about anywhere in my house. So I'm doing it all just in plain DMC, which is unusual for me, but they're such little motifs, I didn't think it would matter that much. So this is one of my favorite colors, 3750. And I got all the words done in one night. So that went really fast because, you know, one strand goes really fast. And the fabric is 34 count legacy linen. The color is Cafe au lait. And this is exactly the piece I had left. So that was perfect. Then yesterday was the 1st. So I had an evening and I thought I could like not stitch at all if I want to, but I decided to finish something that was almost done. So I finished up Made with Love from the Little Stitcher. I had worked on it, I think I had worked on it 2 nights, and so this was a 3rd night. So it was a pretty quick project. And this was on 25 Lugana Vintage Country Mocha. All right. Now, that was that. Okay, here are my stats. I arranged these by season, which I kind of do to start with to make sure I catch everything. I don't want to, you know, I could do 28 Christmas ornaments or 28 Halloween, you know, but I like to mix it up a little bit. So I actually did 28 different designers, which is what I always do. And then for winter, I did 2, and one happened to be a deer and one happened to be a snowman. And those are 2 categories that I really enjoy stitching for. So that worked out for me. I mean, this isn't completely planned when I start. I would like to be better organized, but sometimes it's fun for it to just be organic and I just pick what I feel like stitching that day. I usually have a lot of screenshots and some printed charts that I go through. And of course, if I already use that designer, then I can't. I have to save that for the next year. So that helps me weed it down. So then for, for the winter, it was Doreen Jones Woodland Deer, which I just showed you, and then Shepherd's Bush Happy Snowman. Then for Valentine, I had 1. It was the Heart and Hand Love Lives Here. I did 3 for Easter. The little lavender bunnies that I did from Alexandrina. And an egg. I had 2 finished models of that had been previously stitched as shop models, and we made kits for them. That was from Kirsten Schmidt from Kissy Cross. And then He Loves Us by Teresa Kogut. Then for spring, I had From the Heart, Grandma's Flower Garden, and Waxing Moon Designs Spring Bluebird, which was almost done, but didn't count. Then moving on to the summer, I had 2 Patriotic, the Jean Farish Needleworks Americana Sampler Flag, and Sharon Crescent's Liberty U. And then for summer, I had Silver Creek Samplers Dog Days of Summer. And then Bee and Strawberry are 2 separate categories that I like to stitch for. They kind of go in the spring to summer season. So for Beez, I had 2 of those. I did the Be More Creative, Be Strong from her FlossTube, and the Little Stitcher Made with Love that I just showed you. And I had the Strawberry was the one I showed you from Cosmic Handmade. Then for fall, I had the Hello Fall that I just showed. Halloween, I had 4. I could have done more too. I think designers are very generous with Halloween. I think it's, even if it's not something they normally put out for sale a lot, I think they just tend to offer Halloween as a fun freebie. And then Christmas is probably just as popular. But there's freebies for every category, so don't worry. So for Halloween, I did the Jackie Morris Spooky Graveyard, Primitive Betty's Wicked, the Primitive Needle by the Light of the Moon, Tiny Modernist Spooky Halloween. Then for Thanksgiving, I had Erin Elizabeth Designs Give Thanks. And then Christmas, the Peace, Joy, Love that I showed you, Holy Night by Plum Street Samplers, and Santa Cookie by Shannon Christine Designs. And then I do enjoy some little samplers. I don't, get too involved with big ones, but I do like little ones, and I like inspirational or everyday type things as well. So I had 3 samplers: Annie B's Folk Art, Quaker Primitives, La Di Da, Letters and Leaves, and Violets and Verses, Richardson. And then I had 2 that could be considered inspirational: the NeedleWorkPress, Persevere, that I showed on day 1, and Do Small Things that I showed today. Okay, I had 17 new starts and 1, the Alexandrina bunnies, that I had already stitched but never fully finished. So that makes 18 of my stitching that I either started or that aren't finished yet. Then I had 6 fully finishes that I had done previously, and that would be 5 framed pieces and 1 ornament. And then this year I shared 4 pieces that were stitched by others. 2 were by designers. So one was the Grandma's Flower Garden, the little pillows that came in a trunk show, and the other one was the Violets and Verses, and I had taken a picture of her model at market last year. And then 2 stitchers, I used their models. One was Marlene's By the Light of the Moon Halloween piece that I just borrowed from her recently. I didn't even know she had stitched it, but she got together a collection of Halloween and Thanksgiving things that I could bring back to the shop when I visited her last time. And then the other one was, I always want to say, Holy Night by Plum Street Samplers, and that was Julie V, who is a customer. So she shared a photo with me. So that takes care of all the designs. I did use various counts of Aida, Lugana, and linen. There's one piece that has some over 1. I don't know if anything really had other specialty stitches, but sometimes I add those myself. And then there were 14 from websites. That's actually probably the easiest way for you to find something, but there are so many that are available that I don't want to just stick to websites. So then there were 8 from blogs, 3 from designers' Facebook pages, 2 from designers' fan groups, and 1 from a FlossTube channel where the link you can only get by going in the notes of her FlossTube. And sometimes there's one from joining a designer's newsletter, but not this year. So I try to have a variety of things to appeal to everybody and also to me. Maybe one year I'll shake it up and do all one theme, but I don't think that would be as much fun for me. So I don't know, maybe I won't. I don't want to promise anything, but I think this is kind of fun. Let me know what you think. A lot of people have been commenting, oh, I already did this. Please send me your pictures or share them on the Facebook page if that's where you commented. Show me your finish, or send the picture in an email. I'd love to see other versions of these because so many of the designers don't have it actually stitched or don't provide information about fabric or thread and allow you to choose your own. So it would be fun to see what other people chose. So the last thing I wanted to tell you, this is a recommendation from a new mail order customer named Peg. Let me find the right, oh yeah, here it is. I had 3 notes here. She suggested that I check out a channel called Comfort Stitching, and the stitcher's name is Jackie. And the one that I watched was, I think it was about 8 minutes. It's called A Stitcher's Meditation. And in the comments, several people said that they were going to listen to that every day when they stitch. They were going to start off with every stitching session, they were going to start off with this meditation. So it was really sweet. You can find it. So the channel is Comfort Stitching, and the post or the video doesn't have a number to it, but it was posted on June 25th of last year, 2024. And it's just called FlossTube Extra, A Stitcher's Meditation. So I would check that out, and you may enjoy it. She has a very gentle, soothing voice. Her other videos are much longer, 1.5 to 2 hours. I'm not sure how many of those I'll get through, but I did watch that one. So enjoy. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.